my beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new product from CoverGirl. This has been all over my social media, so I really wanted to try it for myself. This is the CoverGirl Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence. That is a tongue twister of a name. I ordered mine from Ulta. I just went back to look at the Ulta site to see the shade range and the claims and stuff like that. This is priced at $21.49. I don't remember it being that expensive. This was part of a big order of a bunch of stuff that I wanted to review, and I had a coupon, so maybe that's where I'm not remembering the price tag being so high. $21.49 though is really quite pricey for 1 fluid ounce from a drugstore brand. Anyway, it looks like this comes in 8 different shades. This is a skin tint, so products like this do tend to have smaller shade ranges. I got the shade Light, which is the second lightest, so there is one still paler than this. I think that part of the reason why this is so expensive because of the skincare properties. According to the packaging, this contains 0.5% bakuchiol, which is a retinol alternative. It's supposed to have the same anti-aging effects as retinol, but just with less irritation. I just did a quick little Google search about this ingredient, and it says that it causes less irritation than retinol, so it can be used by those who have severe skin conditions like eczema. And even though the skin effects and visible results are comparable to retinol, the bakuchiol molecule is not similar to the retinol molecule. It's a natural alternative, it's found in certain plants, and it's shown to have a skin improving effect similar to retinol. So we just learned a little lesson. So I guess that makes a little bit more sense. I feel a little bit more comfortable with that price point, but I still think that's pretty pricey. I wanted to try this partially just because I've seen a lot of people talking about it. It seems like one of those products that people either love or hate. I haven't watched any actual reviews or videos or anything, but just existing on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, that kind of stuff, you see a little bit of discussion. So I do avoid watching in-depth review videos about products that I want to review myself. But, I've seen some buzz and it seems like a love it or hate it type of product. I really wanted to try it for myself because of that. I have very dry skin. I've always had dry skin, and as I've gotten older, it's gotten worse. Now, my skincare routine has gotten better, so it seems like it has kind of been balancing out. But I also do have more what's considered mature skin in the beauty world. I'm 38. I've got fine lines, wrinkles, crinkles, spots and speckles and all that good stuff. And for the record, I'm okay with that. I don't have perfect skin. I like my skin. I think I have good skin, but it's not perfect. It's not flawless. And it's just because I'm a human mammal that emotes and has hair and is in the elements. That got off track quickly. So I'm going to show you my full day wear test, starting with my completely bare, just morning skincare skin with no makeup, no primer. And then we'll go all the way up for a 6-hour wear test. I wanted it to be more, but you know what? I can't guarantee that I'm going to have more time to film later. So we have a 6-hour wear test on this. I want to rewind back to no makeup Amanda, and we'll start there. Here's a close-up of my completely bare skin. I've just done my morning skincare routine, which includes a light moisturizer and some sunscreen. So you can tell I got a little hydration sheen going on there. I do have some redness, some freckles and spots and sunspots and veins and crinkles and wrinkles, and that is just the way that skin looks. I think we're so used to seeing really perfected, filtered, face-tuned skin, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think this is really useful for a lot of reasons, including just seeing what the coverage looks like. Once you know what the starting point is, you know really what the coverage looks like. I am using shade Light 20, and this is
of course, a pump style product. When you use the pump to dispense, it has this oily sort of feeling, but with little pigment balls in there. I don't have any better way to describe it. I did quickly find that dispensing onto the back of my hand wasn't the best vehicle because I was trying to mix it up on the back of my hand first and then it just didn't want to really blend into my skin. But if I applied the stuff straight without mixing it up on the back of my hand first, then it blended in way faster and easier. I can't really explain why, but I have found I've been wearing this now. As of the time you're seeing this video, I've been wearing this for about a week, and that is definitely the quickest, easiest, and best looking way to apply this product is just to take the stuff straight onto my skin and then blend from there without using tools, no brushes, no sponges, just put the product right onto my skin and then rub in with my fingers like I do with my sunscreen. Right away, I thought that this looked pretty decent on my skin. Obviously, it's not going to give me a ton of coverage, it doesn't claim to, but I will try to build up a little bit of this pigment later. First, I'm just evening out my whole face. As I said, I've been wearing this for a while now by the time you're seeing this video, and I've found that about 2 pumps of product is what I need to cover my whole face, and it only takes me about 90 seconds to really thoroughly blend that into my skin. It took some trial and error, but that's really where I've landed as far as how this works well for me. And you will see more with this in the future. I'm going to continue to do some filming with it. And of course, I'll give updates as far as my February product rankings and all of that good stuff. But I think initial application here looks pretty good. It definitely did some evening out, but you can still see some of my little spots and speckles and stuff through the tint, which is fine for me. I like that. I don't mind some of my little, I guess you will call them skin imperfections. That's what they are, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. I think that's fine. And I think this looks really nice. It definitely looks hydrated and glowy. It's evened out just a little bit, but it still passably looks like my own skin. This can be layered and built up a little bit. I've found the best way to do that is to let the first coverage layer really dry slash sink in and then add a little bit more where I want more coverage. And I can build up a little bit more of this pigment in spots where I need it without disrupting the overall look. I just don't like to layer this up too much around my nose and in the center of my forehead. I've found that it's better to get more coverage in those spots with a light concealer instead because as you'll see later on in the wear test, this does tend to collect and look a little bit dry in those particular spots, which are always problem areas for me and my skin. Now, because I was going to do more filming on this day, I did want to add a little bit of concealer. I'm using the Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Concealer because it has a nice thin consistency and a more, I'd say, light to medium coverage. I think that it would vibe nicely with this skin tint type of product, and it will lend a little bit of coverage where I want it without disrupting the overall wear test, at least in my opinion. Plus, I think it's good to do a wear test with some other products because in our real lives, we are most likely going to be using things like concealer or blush or setting spray or whatever it may be that you like to wear. So I don't mind adding a little something like this, but I do try to keep the variables to a minimum. So I won't be powdering or doing any setting spray, but I wanted to show you here just for full transparency and disclosure. I did add some concealer and I think so far it looks great. These two products worked very nicely together.
I'm here for my first wear test check-in. It's been about 2.5 hours that I've been wearing this on my face. As you saw, I did add a little bit of concealer. I also did some brow gel and just some lip oil. I don't have any other makeup on my face. I didn't powder my face. I didn't do setting spray. And obviously I haven't put on any cheek colors or eyeshadow or anything like that. So very pared down right now. I am going to add some more makeup on top now. I actually just had to charge my camera battery. But before I start putting some cheek colors on top, I thought this would be a good time to check in and see what the last 2.5 hours of wear have been like. I haven't done anything too strenuous. I don't have any crazy weather or anything. While my battery was charging, I just took Maggie outside to play a little bit, made myself some breakfast. I did a whole load of laundry. And then I'm gonna film at least one more video and then go do the mom stuff, run around, take the kid everywhere he needs to go, all that good stuff. But I thought this would be a good time to check in since I don't have anything else on top of the makeup right now. So let's see how it's going. First of all, from this distance, it looks really, really, really good. I think that's worth acknowledging. I did do some concealer, but obviously I just did a light concealer because you can still see like this vein, sort of my little like sun damage spots and stuff. So I didn't go crazy with the concealer. I just added a little bit because I felt like for my other makeup to come together, I needed it. Let's look close up. Let's see how she's doing. Just on the face, like on my cheeks, I think it looks really good. Especially closer up, you can tell that it's definitely a lighter coverage. You can still see some of my spots and redness and stuff peeking through, which I actually like. That's not a con for me. I like a light coverage skin tint type of product. See how it held up on the forehead wrinkles, because that was a problem for the last thing that I tested. It's a little bit bunched up in there. I bet that if I had put a little setting powder over this, it would be less of a problem. But honestly, it's not too bad. We really had to zoom in to see it. So I think that that looks good. The forehead looks good. The cheeks look good. Let's see the chin. Looks a little dry right here around the mouth. The big problem area, in my opinion, is around the nose. This is just not looking great for me. Actually, like on top of my nose doesn't look too bad, but just around the nostrils is where it kind of gets a little dicey. Honestly, that's usually a problem area for me. I have very dry skin, and the area around my nose tends to be the worst. So I won't knock it too much for that. I think this, in general, looks pretty good. It also looks a little bit dry in this area, which is another common problem area for me. So right now, it's pretty 50-50 for me. So in between the brows, around the nose, and kind of around the mouth are looking a little dry and iffy. But my cheeks, my forehead, my chin, everything I think looks very good. So we'll see. We'll see what the rest of the day brings us. So far, not terrible. It's not life-changing or anything, but I think it looks pretty good so far. I'm gonna film another video and put on some other makeup, and then we'll check back in a few hours. I'm gonna wear this all day, so we'll see how this holds up for the next several hours. I'll be back. It'll be immediate for you. It'll be several hours for me. So I'll see you then. That brings us to our final check-in. This is 6 hours of wear. Before we get to the extreme close-up, I want to say that from this distance, which, I'm not super zoomed out, but you're also not all up in my pores either. I think it looks really, really, really great from this conversational type of distance. It's held up well. I think it just suits my skin tone and type and my personal style because I do prefer a lighter coverage. So at least from this distance, before I get in there and really start getting picky, which I'm gonna do, I have to do, it's a review, that's what we're here for. I think this looks fantastic. So let's zoom in and then I'll get picky about all the parts that don't look fantastic. Now, before I was noticing a lot of dryness and gathering around my mouth. That seems to have dissipated a bit in the time between filming that segment and this one. So I think it actually looks better around the mouth. It's still the worst problem area around my nose, particularly around my nostrils. But I will say that on top of my nose never really looked that bad. It was just around my nostrils and then in between my brows, which we'll get to that in a second. On my cheeks, it looks good. I put some blush and liquid highlighter on top, and that liquid highlighter I was afraid would disturb the texture of the skin tint, and it doesn't seem to have caused any problems for me there. I do feel like over the course of the day, I lost some coverage on this part of my face, which is typical for me. You know, I'm wearing earrings, I'm talking on the phone, I'm putting in my AirPods, you know, stuff like that throughout the day. But I think on my cheeks, let's check this side. It looks really nice. Very similar to what it looked like at my last check-in, just maybe a little bit of loss of coverage down here. But I'm happy that that liquid highlighter didn't ruin anything for me. Let's get up in the under eyes. Now, remember, I did put a little light coverage concealer on. It looks like that's worn off a little bit too. I was wearing sunglasses earlier, so that happened. Let's see what this... You know what? It still looks a little bit dry slash separate-y right here, but I think that also maybe looks a little bit better than it did before, just like around the mouth did. I think this maybe has like kind of warmed up and settled in, or maybe I just lost some coverage. I don't know, but I don't think it looks quite as bad as it did earlier, or I could just be misremembering. Now, it has settled into my forehead wrinkle lines a lot more than the last time we checked in. And obviously, you know, I lost some coverage up here. I was wearing a baseball cap. Anytime I'm driving, especially when it's sunny, but most all the time, I always wear a baseball cap. So I will lose coverage here all the time because of that. But that's just real life, you know? It's a wear test. You got to wear it in real life. So I think it's settled into these lines a little bit more, but also I don't think it's too terrible. Obviously, in a perfect world, I would prefer that that not happen at all. But overall, I feel like this did pretty well. Also, shout out to this other makeup. My blush faded a little bit, but this eyeshadow eyeliner has held on for dear life, and it looks so good. It looks practically just like it did when I applied it hours and hours ago. So good on you. That's a Fantasy Cosmetica Wizard palette, and the liner is a ColourPop BFF cream gel liner. So good job to those guys. Shout out to the supporting cast. Knowing what I know now about the skincare element of this product, I feel like this is something that really deserves a long-term test because I've had the same issue around my nose with retinoids before. So maybe the skincare product in here is the reason why it's looking so flaky and like gross around my nostrils, because I had the exact same problem when I was starting to use retinoids before. So, you know, it could be a fluke, it could be that, but I do feel like, first of all, I spent a pretty penny on this. This is over $20 product. And because it has those anti-aging, I don't really like that phrase, by the way. Anyway, that's a different video. Because it has these skincare benefits, I feel like this is something I really want to keep using and keep testing to see how that plays out for me, especially knowing where this isn't as flattering on my face. I can apply it more mindfully. So, was this absolutely perfect for me? No, but I still think it looks pretty good, and I'm actually very invested in trying this for a long period of time to see how it works for me and if I notice any benefits and all of that good stuff. Just see where it takes me. Now, I realize that we're only in mid-February, but I've already tested 4 new base products in the past month and a half. I've had a lot of hits and misses based on just this lineup of new things that I've been trying over the past month and a half. I would say this is probably in second place, which is pretty good. Top half. These two are the best. The e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC is definitely the best. And even though this did have some issues, some details that weren't perfect for my wear test today. It was way, way better than either one of these two, so I'm not mad at it. High medium performance. We'll get our February products ranking at the end of the month, so we'll see how it shakes out then, but I'm definitely going to keep wearing this, keep testing it, see if I can experience any of those skincare benefits. And I think that this product just works well for my preferences, my particular skin type. So I would love to hear what you think about this product. Have you tried it? Have you seen people talking about it online? Have you had a totally different experience and this didn't work for you at all? I always like to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! That was so weird. Well, simply ages, Bakuchiol? How do you say that? Baku, copy. Let's figure this word out, because I don't know this word. If you don't know, then Google it. How do you say it? Bakuchiol. 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 Okay. This has, uh, this says it can't, uh, huh? A little pastel girl. Look at me, I'm a pastel girl. Okay. This bun's really getting away from me. I'm kind of having one of those days, you know what I mean? As Fred Durst would say. That was an obscure reference. Anyway, it's just been a bunch of weird stuff. Nothing bad enough to really complain about, just a bunch of annoyances to where I feel kind of petulant complaining about it, but it's just one of those days, you know what I mean? It's all right though. We made it this far, so it'd be worse. What's the product that this looks like? Isn't this supposed to be a dupe for something? It's a luxury thing, right? Is it like a Prada or a Tom Ford or something? Oh, it's the Chanel Les Beige Touche de Tint Water Fresh Complexion Touch. It's supposed to be, or at least looks like a dupe for a Chanel product. I can see why people wouldn't love this, but I think it just works for what I like and for my skin type. A comment that I see a lot is people will say, oh, well, you liked this and so hated it, and I don't know who to believe now. Believe both of us because we probably just experienced the same product in different ways. It could be an application thing. Like if I had not just put this onto my face and rubbed it in with my hand, I would have hated it. If I had tried to do this with a brush, I know it would have been a disaster. Or somebody who has oily skin would hate this. I can imagine it would have just broken apart and melted off and just migrated because of the texture, the really oily nature of this. So I think that you just need to keep that in your perspective when you're listening to reviews, especially for a product like this. Make sure that you're thinking about your skin type in relation to the reviewer's skin type and preferences too. Somebody who wants a lot of coverage, this is not going to do it. They probably have primers that have more tint than this. So, you know, keep that in mind. I think this is going to work for me though, especially if I take care to not put it in this area, but I'm going to keep using this. I think it could be a winner for me. And that highlighter, I'm wearing this MAC highlighter, the Molten Metal from their Lunar New Year collection, and it looks so lovely. I have rambled so much. I've got to go take care of my family, okay? It's time for me to like get the homework going, get the dinner going. So I gotta go do some mom things. But thanks for watching. I love your face so much. I'm so happy that you brought it here. And just remember that you're important, you're special, you're smart, you're funny, you're adorable. Anybody who hasn't realized that about you yet is totally missing out. They'll come around. Just like I did. You want to know why? Because I love your face. Okay, I'll see you soon. That was aggressive snapping. Sorry. Bye.